Good evening, folks.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Design Review Committee meeting beginning the month of March. Before we begin, is there anyone here who wishes to make just general comments on something that isn't on the agenda? Seeing that, if you kindly join me in the pledge of the flag, we'll commence the meeting. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, since we only have one item on the calendar, let me briefly go through it. We'll call your item first, believe it or not. And if we, the system will go quickly like this. We ask you to, after taking a report from staff and asking staff any questions about it, we then ask you to make either a brief presentation, it's at your choice, or just to be available to answer questions. And ask if anyone in the audience wishes to speak about the application. Once that's done, we close the public hearing and we kind of petition the members of the Design Review Committee as to what their thought is on the project, and then ask for a vote. That's how it kind of works. Now, once a vote is taken, if it's to approve, at that point, the application you submitted becomes the law of the project and cannot be varied at all. If it's denied, you have an appellate process up to the city council. Okay? So with that, let's begin. First of all, we have item number 1, which has been deferred to March 20th. Is that correct? There's no action we need to take on that, other than maybe vote to...
Still vote.
Yes, we still
We'll
need
still take a vote.
Do we have a motion to continue item number 1?
Sure, I'll motion that we continue DRC 18-91 480 Winthrop until the March 20th meeting.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, item number 2. We have the staff report on that, please.
Thank you, Chair. Item number 2 is design review case number DRC 18-89, located at 2235 Melville Road. The applicant is requesting to install a front entry porch, introduce a new double-hung window on the first floor, and replace the wood shutters on the building. Staff is able to support the front entry porch design, finding that the size and the support columns are appropriate in size to the 2-story building. However, the proposed louver shutters, the new shutters will be in a synthetic material that the design review guideline is do not recommend. This is the only issue that staff has with the proposed project. Outside of that, staff is supporting the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of staff?
The material that's going to be used for the awning over the front door, have they provided a sample of what that is, or is it just basic sheet metal?
It will. We don't have a sample. However, it is provided on the material board. It is a basic metal awning. Be painted.
Any other questions of staff? Yeah, go ahead.
They're proposing 2 windows on the left side compared to the 1 window. With the codes that we have with the Title 24, is that required not to be dual pane windows?
My understanding is that any new window introduced would have to be dual plane for the current Title 24 requirements.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, I'm hearing any. Is the applicant or applicant's representative present? Yeah, come forward, just give me your name and address
Hi, my name is David Lai. We're with SLS Design on 1414 Fair Oaks Avenue in South Pasadena. So basically, Eva's already covered everything that we need to say here today. For us, defending the shutter was more for, because the front of the house is facing the south, the owners already had to replace the door and the shutters multiple times just by warpage and just the beating of the sun. So we have that example here. It's actually made very similarly to a wood window with mortise and tenon and joints and individual pieces. You guys can pass it around. It's actually significantly heavier than a wood shutter, so just be careful. So just to give you guys a reference of what we're thinking about here. So the manufacturer actually guarantees the structural stability of this for its lifetime. So that's why we're not too worried about that. And at most would be repaint. They're saying on average it's like 20 to 25 years on repaint. And they're guaranteeing that it won't fade at all within the first 15 or so years, if I remember correctly. So that's kind of just where we're going with that and why we propose to use synthetic rather than a natural wood. And we do understand that the city does prefer natural wood. It was just an owner request where it didn't make sense for her to spend all this money replacing it and then within the next 5 years or so have to take it all down, scrape it, repaint and all that when something like this can last her a significantly longer amount of time, even though the upfront cost probably is going to be more expensive because it isn't wood. Wood is relatively cheaper than this is. But in terms of labor costs, to do it over the lifetime of owning the house of, let's just say 20, 30 years, having wood shutters just quadruples 5 times. It's just a lot more. So that's just where we're at with that. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you. Any questions of this gentleman?
I have one more.
Please.
On the present house, there's 2 light fixtures sitting inside the door.
Yes.
Are you planning to remove those and just have the one in the canopy?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have a sample of the window?
We don't have a sample, but on our material board, we do have it called out.
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
that.
but we don't have a sample of the light fixture itself, no.
There's a better materials for it.
Yeah, that's one right here.
It's not the
I have a question. What's the width of the proposed shutters?
So with the shutters, we were looking to match the existing, so I'm gonna see if I have that.
If you don't have it, that's fine, as long as you're saying you're gonna match.
Yeah,
match
the
existing.
intent is to match existing.
Thank you.
Any other questions of this gentleman? Okay, not hearing anyone here to speak on the floor against the proposal? All right, not seeing any, or just empty chairs. We'll just close the public hearing and begin. Chris, your thoughts?
So overall, I think the project is very thoughtful, and I think that it definitely helps with the curb appeal of the home. But I'm with staff on the color of the sheet metal. I'm not 100% on that color. I think it'd be better if it was a little browner to match the roof. I don't have any issue with the shutters not being wood, as long as they match the existing shutters wood.
Judy?
Yeah, I think it's a simple, peaceful project. I think my remarks are going to be surprising to some of you. I think the first one is I have no problem with the portico over the door. There's many of these in San Marino in the same legal neighborhood and street. I am fine with beautification of the project with new shutters and the double window in the front. But shutters generally are custom made to be able to, if they were shut, which no one ever does, close the window. And the panel you just showed us, I would really want to ensure that you're trying to match the sizes, because the sizes are a little bit small for the windows as it is, and if they're any smaller, it would be unusual. I normally am 100% against anything that is a man-made material and not a wood product. However, the product that was shown here, I could be convinced if this committee were to support it, because it does mimic real wood in both the look and I think the durability factor. South-facing windows, they'll even take 5 years. You'll need to repaint it probably in about 2 or less, certainly in a dark color. And then the only thing I would just comment for the neighbors is that although doors in a color like red or green or blue are a nice accent piece, I don't think I would want to live on that street and look at the dark green fence and the gate. It's just a lot of dark green on that house. I would think it would be better to be one of the other colors, like the shutter or the color of the home.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, I think the changes, proposed changes are modest. I think it'll improve the overall look of the home. I don't have any issue with the shutters. I think after seeing the actual physical product, I feel like it's a good product. It's sturdy and it's not, it actually looked very much like wood before even bringing it up for review and touching it. So I wouldn't have an issue. I agree with the color recommendations with my fellow colleagues. I think the gate color is a different color, and I think something closer to the color of the shutter color would be more suitable to accent and appropriate for the street. Otherwise, I can support the project.
Okay, Joyce?
Yes, as far as compatibility is concerned, I see the changes proposed to be largely adding to the house and improving upon it. The porch, or the portico, is a very classic style one that you see on many similar homes in the neighborhood, particularly that neighborhood. And I think the larger window doesn't detract. It kind of makes the house look more balanced. I can't say that the shutters look bad. I was surprised at how wood-like they are, having seen a lot of really bad synthetic shutters, a lot of them. But I can support these being put on the house, even though they're synthetic material, and we don't particularly usually side with those, but they look very nice and very wood-like. And as far as the gate and the side gate, either the color of the home would be, I think, more appropriate, or the color of the shutters, as has been said by my colleagues.
Yeah, I concur with the other commissioners on this. I do have a couple of concerns, though. The windows on the house, I don't know if they're dual pane or single pane. So I don't know how this new 2 windows only on the one spot is going to actually match the existing windows that's on the house. So, since we didn't see a sample of the window either. Also, the canopy instead of being sheet metal being painted, being south side, I can see the paint peeling off in a number of years. Normally in San Marino, we use copper to finish it and let it patina naturally. I'd rather see a copper canopy. As far as the shutters are concerned, I think they're very nice. I think we can, that'd be appropriate for the house.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a modest improvement, but it could be done a bit better, but my thought is, and it's the same as Ben's here, that the copper and the patina that develops on copper over a period of time is more in tune to this type of colonial look than a painted version. But again, that's not going to be a killer for me. As far as I'm concerned, it's acceptable as it is. But I'll see if anyone has any thoughts as to moving to approve with conditions, and you can state the condition. Let's talk about it. Any thoughts along those lines?
Well, we could just condition that the material be a copper instead of painted, because I'm having a discussion with her, not making a motion.
Yeah, I also think that they also, if you look at many of the homes around town, even provided samples, it could be wood shingling that matches the same wood on the top. I mean, I do know, because I have a lot of copper at my house, it's very expensive, and they may not wish to go in that direction. And I think all we're saying is that we would like something, for the same reason they gave us, of not having to paint it and have it look bad in a year, because this is a south-facing item, that the canopy of the roof should be reflected in that same sentiment as the shutter. So I think that either one of those options would be fine, just work on it.
Any other thoughts? Okay, do we have any kind of a motion with conditions? You know, I'm hearing that, and I wrote down as people were talking, the color of the shutters to match the existing, the size also of the shutters should appropriately match the existing shutters. Any other conditions that would be part of any motion to approve?
I just need one last clarification. The only reason I didn't volunteer to make the motion is the product sample provided for the shutter has a paint color on it, something blue. And I don't know if what's listed here, what they've shown, and what we envision from the drawing is clear to us. So before I make a condition to match something, could I have that clarification? Would that be appropriate?
The color of the shutter is just what they have on hand for
I
us.
figured, I just want to make sure that we know what we're doing.
We're looking at a Charleston green. It's very dark. It's very dark. In the sun, it shines a little bit green. Under this light, it looks more black than anything.
Okay. I will make a motion for consideration. And that would be that we approve this evening DRC 1889-2235 Melville with the condition that the size of the proposed shutters is no smaller than the existing size, that the paint color on the pedestrian gate and the vehicular gate and the adjoining columns be either the white trim or the proposed gray that is on the color palette plan, and that you work with staff on an appropriate material to cover the portico that would either be copper or matching the existing roofing material that's on the house today.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, let's have a roll call on it.
Committee Member Magnish?
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson Bodie?
Yes.
Committee Member Huang?
Yes.
Vice Chair Chang?
Yes.
Chair Brody?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to the next in order is consideration of Da Vinci simulated shape and site roofing products. Do we have a staff report on that, please?
Thank you, Chair. The Jeld-Wen Custom Wood Series window material for the committee's consideration to recommend to the Planning Commission for the pre-approved window material list. There is a representative from Jeld-Wen here tonight to show you the window samples and to answer any questions that the committee has about the product.
Okay, so I'll jump ahead. Okay, sorry about that. There was two up instead of one. All right, this is the Jeld-Wen Custom Wood Series. Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone here to make a presentation at all?
She was just here.
Huh?
Maybe she stepped right off.
She thought you were
She ran the rest of her
no roofing,
meeting.
so.
All right, why don't we do the next?
You're giving me up first and
All right, we'll do the next one.
seriously.
There she is.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. My fault.
So,
Come up there, give your name and address
My
and
address,
your serial number and all that.
sure, no
stuff.
problem. Well, my address growing up actually was in South Pasadena.
No, your business address.
From Charlotte, North Carolina is the business address. I work for Jeld-Wen Windows.
Right.
I'm the local architectural consultant, so I guess my business address would be my home address, which is in West Los Angeles.
Okay.
But I cover this territory. And I'm here in order to ask the design review board to approve JELD-WEN. We currently have the Sightline product line. JELD-WEN is made up of many different product lines, and of our wood window lines, the Sightline product, which is our oldest wood product, has been approved in the city of San Marino on your pre-approved vendor list, but I'm asking or submitting the custom product line to be approved as well. And I have prepared a little packet of information, which I believe Christine had sent out to you guys with some of the, oh yes, you have it, with the main differences between the Sightline and the custom product line. And I also have, I brought in a couple corner samples earlier, and then I had, with the assistance of one of your fine gentlemen, brought in a couple full-size windows, a double hung and a casement. The casement in advance was taken out of the display, so it's not as it's a little bit dusty because it was we had to remove it from the display. But the double hung and then the corner samples. The main difference between, and oh, one thing too, we understand that the brilliant white color is not allowed, and that's fine if you want to, maintain that stipulation for the custom line. But the main differences between the two product lines are the custom product line is, for all practical purposes, has a little more wood in it. The stiles and the rails are a little bit thicker in profile than the Sightline product line. And then the options are different as listed on the sheet that I provided for the custom product line as opposed to the Sightline. Bottom line is there's a lot more options available that are standard, like for instance the glass options, the wood species options, the clad color options. There's a lot more available in the custom line as opposed to the Sightline, which has already been approved on the vendor list.
How does the price vary between the two?
It's probably anywhere from 20 to 30% more. It's a higher end line, which is why we feel that it would be an excellent option for the residents of the city of San Marino, being such a high-end community, to have the option. One other thing that I heard that there's, you mentioned that there was some copper issues and copper things. The Sightline, the custom product is our only product line out of all of our product lines, which we have the option of a copper clad sash. And there's a few different finishes on that, either bright penny patina or a darker patina. And having that copper clad sash is kind of, if you have some individuals that maybe have some copper, detailing in their house, on the exterior of their house, it might kind of go nicely as well. So that option is only available in the custom line. It's not available in the Sightline. And also one other thing I wanted to point out, the standard finish on the cladding for the custom series is an ALMA 2605, whereas the standard finish on the Sightline is an ALMA 2604. The ALMA 2604 finish has a warranty of, I believe, 10 years, and then the warranty on the 2605 finish by definition is 20 years. So you get that extra just by standard, just when you order it, it just is. And let's see. Oh, one other option too that I think would be a nice thing with the custom line. The Sightline product also has, some of those larger patio door configurations, which, many people are liking to put in big glass configurations to open up, like the living room or the break room to the outside. With the Sightline, with the custom series, you have the option for pocket multi-slides, whereas pocket multi-slides are not an option in the Sightline series. Meaning they pocket into the wall so that the whole area can be opened up. Granted, you don't have a big wall, but that is an option that I think would be highly beneficial for certain designers that like to have that feature. I have two full-size catalogs if you want it. Those are the I don't want to overwhelm you with information, so those are the main catalogs. But if you want the full-size catalog, let me here's a couple of the full-size catalogs for you guys.
Just for clarification, the sightline product, how much, which models or which lines have been approved?
Sightline. Well,
Is it the entire sightline that was approved? Is that your understanding?
yeah.
Okay.
See, just the way JELD-WEN was made was, the company was formed many, many years ago. There was a company, I believe it was Norco. I wasn't working there at that time. And over the years, we've acquired all these different little companies and little window manufacturers. And each time we acquire a new one, that particular manufacturer's product line becomes like a new line. And then they name it something different. And I'll be honest, custom is not a good name for this line because it's not all custom. There are plenty of standard features and options. They just named it that. It might as well be called XYZ. Sightline was the original product line, and maybe that's why it's on here and it's been on here for a while. But the custom line, which is manufactured primarily in our Bend, Oregon plant, whereas the Sightline is manufactured in our Hawkins, Wisconsin plant. So you also have slightly quicker shipping times for that as well, for designers.
Okay. Does anyone want to take a moment to go down and view the product?
Yeah, sure, step away. On the product that is in the brochure, there are some custom grill work and decorative glass. So that you're hoping that we would just approve as part of this as well, or that would be a part of?
Well, I'm not sure how it goes because you can do those with the Sightline product as well, but the whole Sightline product is approved, so,
That's my next question I was going to ask.
yeah, I mean, I guess you guys know how you're.
That's approved, if they can put any of those things in.
I mean, those are definitely custom features. Those are not standard features. Those are just, they're showing you what you can do. But those particular grills in that picture, you would have to submit to the factory as a custom request. But you would have to do that if you wanted on the Sightline product too.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is what is different besides what you've explained about what's approved and what we're looking at in terms of options from a design perspective, not a quality of the window, and with the options you've provided. Because I don't know, there's a lot of things in here, for example, that I would never want to just say any of this stuff is approved, from stained glass window, treatment window, grill and hardware work. So I'm just trying to understand if that's already approved by the city.
That's a good point.
I never do that. That's the kind of stuff we never do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be impossible for me to let you know what all of the customizable options are because basically it's a deviation from the standard. The standard features, let's see, everything on the right where it says like trim profiles, clad trim profiles, and then some of that information is in probably the big catalog would be the standard features. Like when it says here textured glass, blue chip, frost reed, sandblasted grain, those are standard options. Like you can put stained glass in, but you know, like I said, you would have to put the request at the factory. And a lot of those pictures are the custom, you know, not necessarily the
Yeah,
standard.
the problem is that when we normally approve something and it's fairly specific as to a particular construct, we usually put a comment in there to instruct staff that this is the kind of window that's appropriate for this kind of an architectural rendering. We don't, you know, it would take us an awful long time to go through this and to accept some and not others. It's obviously a great product, and if it was brought in as part of a architectural rendering that fit well within that rendering, I don't think there would be a problem. But to have an entire line accepted would open up the door for a lot of architectural errors, put it that way. It could be implemented by an innocent home buyer, and that concerns me. Anyway, anyone have any comments, questions, or anything?
This is a comment, a question specific for staff. So if we were to recommend this line for approval to for the planning commission to review for adding it to the pre-approved list, At what point, if any, would a architectural style of the windows be reviewed by design review or planning commission if it were proposed? Or by the mere fact that it's on the pre-approved list, we get no further say to the design and what it looks like on the whole?
If the planning commission finds the product to be appropriate for addition on the pre-approved list, then any application for using this product line will no longer need a hearing. The only review that we'll get will be over-the-counter review by staff. And if I may address committee member Johnson Brody's comment earlier that any of the decorative window that come across for permits over the counter will be questioned by staff, typically depending on the location and its function. A lot of times window replacement or light for light replacement
Right.
using pre-approved material, unless there is already a decorative window on the front of the home for a special leaded glass on the two doors home. We will allow for light replacement. Certainly we wouldn't allow for a window that is too decorative for the design of the home.
Yeah, let me just add a little postscript to that. One of the concerns when the design review committee was created back in '89 was that over the counter, staff was doing the design review essentially, and a lot of the community members found that to be not appropriate. They wanted, and this is why the design review committee was formed, they wanted people from the community making that decision on the design review committee. So they formed it. So the whole idea way back when was to make sure that the discretion over the counter was somewhat limited, so that, the people who are no longer here, who were doing the over-the-counter, the staff people, thought that was a great idea because they were getting a lot of static from the community at the time. So
I would say that I would ask then that with staff's procedures or policies over the counter, is it that if there is any type of decorative elements that are not already existing, you're going to default to a hearing?
Correct.
So is that
Yes.
insufficient for us?
I think it is.
Or we could carve out those items. So to me, the things that are concerning is the grow work, the artistic glass options,
And the
and then there are
texture.
some windows that actually are, in terms of the mullions, they're very artful. They may go with an arts and craft home, but you wouldn't want that in a Spanish home or a traditional home. So part of it is the mullion work, the grow work, the glass work. The windows themselves, that isn't necessarily the issue. So I think the question would be, really, I think the procedural question, the procedural question for me would be, if we advance this to the planning commission and we have a carve out, the planning commission could look at the product, and just say no way, or they could ignore our carve out. So I think the question is, are we willing to take a gamble to take this to the planning commission and have it be adopted as is? I can't imagine, knowing the people on the planning commission, that would happen. But, once it leaves, I think our question tonight is, are we comfortable with this product if it is used as is, if it goes to the planning commission and they make a different decision than we do?
Yeah, and my thought is the quality of the product is there. But
Well, it exceeds what's currently on
Right.
our
Exactly.
pre-approved list, so to try to say that, not to recommend something that's better than what we already have, I don't understand the thought behind that.
Well,
But I do understand eliminating, maybe not recommending any of the tinted, textured screens, decorative glass, or decorative grills and hardware piece. And that would all need,
Whoa.
The window's not happy with our.
Ghost.
You know what, those corner
Didn't like that
samples,
answer.
they have these feet things on them. and
There's a
they're
ghost.
very well. If it helps at all,
Weird.
this sheet that I think you might have the color version. This will give you the standard features, and if you want to simply approve standard options as opposed to, and
What
that
sheet is
would
that? Is that on?
Which sheet? This one that says custom options. Yeah, it might be on one.
No, I think it's.
Yeah, it's in there, it's in there. Yeah, it's basically, yeah, it's all of that little, that one has custom options. That big catalog has all these different, basically, non-standard options, just because they're pretty
Which one,
pictures.
which sheet is that?
That one, yeah.
Second sheet of the color packet.
The big catalog has, because our marketing department just likes to make everything pretty. And so they put all the pretty pictures in that aren't necessarily the standard features. And that's why I included that one, because standard options are gonna be on that, to that smaller one. So if you wanted to just like approve everything standard except like brilliant white, I wouldn't, that would make, I mean, that would, I would understand that, but I also think you guys gotta do what you gotta do.
And there's also a comment.
It's right there, looking.
This one. It says standard options.
It doesn't say it,
Oh, it
but,
doesn't say, that's what we're thinking about.
yeah.
It's under trim and divided light.
Yeah, like those sizes of the SDL bars and those kind of things, the wood finish options, those are all the things that would be available, you know, just from, without actually having to go submit a special custom request into the factory to get the pricing and all that stuff. Like the 4 standard things, stuff, you know.
We
Yeah.
don't use, these
Yeah, what's your
details.
thought on that, Kevin? If we were
I think-
to do the trim and divided lights,
I mean, if that's what the consensus of the committee is,
Yeah,
would
I-
have, I think that'd be
you don't
okay.
have a problem.
I mean,
Well, we don't, I mean, I wouldn't want to see us be okaying grills between the glass, for example. That's not something I think would fit into.
Pardon me?
there's
The
this
grills
option.
between the glass, for example.
Staff, do we ever have that, any type of legislation, grills between the glass?
It is specifically prohibited.
Prohibited. So we would remove that specifically for this recommendation as well.
Okay,
I don't like
Okay,
that.
what about the size of the singularly divided light for trees?
Well, so I was calling that if a homeowner were to replace it with this custom line, it would have to be like for what the home already has. So if it has a certain thickness of lights, it would have to be replaced with that. So if it is thick, just so happens it's really thick,
Yeah, okay.
then it would go back with a really thick one. We wouldn't want to
I
restrict
don't think we
that.
have any of these.
Right.
But yeah.
so I think the consensus here is that we deny the gel wind windows application, except for trim and divided lights page, which should be sent to the planning commission, with the exception that grills between the glass will not be approved. And that seems to be the general thought. Am I correct in that?
And are we also saying only for replacement, or like for light replacement?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, the like for like.
I'm okay with that.
All right, do we have a motion then on it? I could voice it.
I'd like to understand the thinking behind the denial of with the exception versus the move to the planning commission with the carve out.
No, I was just trying to summarize it, and maybe it wasn't that artful. So,
Are we approving or denying?
well,
Recommending it with
recommend
certain elements removed.
trim and divided lights with the absence of grills between the glass. That's it in a nutshell, to match existing. You need to have that sheet ripped out, and, or do you have that? Okay, great. All right, so everything else is not going on to the approved list, just the trim and divided lights with the exception of grills between the glass, which is not being made part of the accepted. And again, it has to match existing. So do we have a motion on that?
So what does this mean for new home construction?
Well, new homes are,
Review in its
Yeah.
entirety.
It's all,
thing will get
it's all
reviewed.
reviewed anyway,
yeah.
so we're really only addressing.
Right. Okay, do we have a motion to approve what was just voiced? All right, second?
Second.
Okay, let's have a roll call.
Committee Member Batnich,
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson Brody,
Yes.
Committee Member Huang,
No.
Vice Chair Chang,
Yes.
Chair Brody?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Yes. So, you won.
It's been recommended for review by the planning commission, so it's not approved, it's not on the list yet. It still has to.
We
it's the first-
recommend the trade and divided life to match existing no changes.
What?
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's up to the planning commission to decide. We're just voting that it's going up to them.
With those,
Do I have to drag that things in again?
Yes. And you'll meet five
Take it
nice
off,
people.
earn your
too.
pay.
Oh, trust me, I earn my pay every day. I make like 11-hour days.
Okay, thank you.
Once again, calling the fourth item, consider the Da Vinci, I was just mesmerized by the word Da Vinci. Da Vinci's simulated shake and slate painting.
I am mesmerized.
You're
I'm
mesmerized.
just, I like that word. So, I guess we're kind of leaning against the wall here, that's fine. Kind of see him from there. Or- Is that all right? We've got a few. And then we just here. Set that table.
Yeah, good.
Are you guys good, you think?
And I think we have to come up and look at them no matter what, no matter where you put them, so I'll just kind of come and start with it.
Ready to give a presentation first?
Yeah, that would help.
He will be, yes.
No, wait.
Just looking for different places.
Is that good enough? You can kind of get back there. Come down.
Name
Yo.
and address, business address.
My name's Scott Fury, I'm the Da Vinci local sales rep. This is another Scott, he works with me.
Okay.
He's the slightly younger version of me.
Do you have a business address?
I live locally in North Melinda, but I cover all Southern California, all the way up to San Luis Obispo. So we cover a big area, or we do, I should say. Here's some kind of put some tabs in here to kind of help. We have a lot of options, so I'm gonna try to, you can kind of follow through with me with those orange tabs, and I'll kind of explain the product. And you need that there, and then you need a couple up here. I think you got one extra one up there. It's just basically the list of the different colors. Pretty simple. Because we have a lot of colors and options. Get that up with it. So can I go ahead or?
Sure.
All right, anytime's a good time. So Da Vinci's, this is actually our 20th year in manufacturing. It's a simulated, it's a polymer or a plastic, if you will. I know the city has approved us on a couple jobs over the years. And I think both of the profiles. But again, it's been 20 years we've been manufacturing. We manufacture out of Kansas. And roofing is the only thing that Da Vinci manufactures. The product, let me kind of give you a quick broad brush stroke over. The product is basically a shake and slate product. We have a number of different selections in both of those categories. So that's kind of why I highlighted the little tabs there. And there's pricing that goes along with it. So Christine, thanks for getting me on board on the list here too. I'm like, which product do I pick? Because I sell all of them. So these are just my ideas of what I think would sell in the city based upon what I sell on a regular basis. We have 3 categories of shake and 3 categories of slate, and I'll kind of jump into that and explain that to you. So if you go to the first tab that's on the top, stick it out on the top side. It says visual versatility on that side of the page right there. So these are all the different products that we make in the shake and slate. And to try to simplify it, so this is our multi-width shake, for example, and there's 5 different sizes in this particular profile. Give it a randomness, just like a real wood shake would have. That's our most expensive product. That's the first product we ever manufactured. The next category that saves the homeowner some money, that looks the same, we just use the widest piece, which is the 9-inch width piece. So it saves them money. And then the next category down, which I'm not putting, I didn't put on the list, but we do sell it. It says Bella Forte on the bottom on the right. You see where I put one little $sign on there. That's our most expensive, our most competitive product that we have. I honestly just figured I can't bring all this stuff and show you guys too much at once, you know what I mean? So
The multi-width is the only one on this page that can be installed in a staggered fashion.
multi-width and the single width. So when we get to that page on the single width, the pictures show a straight edge installation, but you can stagger it. You can also stagger it. It's up for aesthetics if someone wants to, or if that's how you guys want it.
Is the multi-width designed to be staggered?
Both, either way. I sell them both ways. Some people like it clean looking, some like it more rustic and offset. You know, people always ask me, well, what do you think? I go, it's really up to you. I said, depends on what kind of look you want. So, but those are good questions. So the multi-width and the single width can be installed staggered or straight. And mainly the difference is you're gonna get one single size piece versus the 5 pieces. Does that make sense? So you kind of understand that?
What's the guarantee on the multi-width versus single width in terms of longevity?
It's all the same. It's all made out of the same composite. And I can kind of get to that in the back. I can kind of wrap it up with all that stuff. Might make it easier. I want to get through the 1, 2, 3, 4 first.
Go ahead.
Just so you kind of get an idea of the different options, because it can be kind of confusing. So if you go to the first one, that's the multi-width slate. So again, there's 5 different sizes with that. And I put the asterisk that collates with the other sheet that I printed out. That those are just the colors that Christine asked which colors, and I'm like, well, you tell me. I sell all of them, you know what I mean? Some more than others. The ones that I put the asterisk by are probably going to be the more common ones that we do sell. But we do sell black, but I just didn't put it on your list.
Here's a multi-width slate.
So, a lot of colors, a lot of options. Most of the colors are all natural type colors, but, so if you go to number 2, you'll see that's the single width slate product. And it can be staggered. Okay? But the price point drops for the homeowner.
What's the difference?
Probably about
that
20%.
causes- What's the difference that causes the price drop?
What's the difference?
Is it quality?
There's a little less weight, and there's a lot of collating that goes with the 5 different pieces, because those come out of separate molds, and then they're hand collated. So there's more weight, there's more freight on the truck coming all the way from Kansas, so it has to do with freight and the collating, the tiles as they're manufactured. So we can make the single width a lot quicker, package it quicker, and get it on a truck here quicker than we can get it on a truck here with less cost. So a lot of it has to do with freight. And so if you go to like 3, that's the shake product. So it's the same thing. So you have 5 different sizes. Again, I kind of highlighted the primary colors that we do sell mostly. But that doesn't mean we don't sell all of them. I'm just kind of like, I told Christine I wasn't sure. I'm sure we're not gonna, if we get to that point, you're not gonna take all those colors anyways, but I'm just kind of picking the ones that I thought would be best representative of what we do sell. And then the same thing for number 4 is the single shake. So And again, I asked for the ones that kind of give you an idea what, the darker browns typically are the ones that sell more in the shake world. You know, some people do like the lighter, newer looks once in a while, or the gray once in a while, but I know that you have some other products on the list that have some gray in it too, so I thought I'd throw that in there. So then, all the way in the back, really pretty much on the back side page where it says benefits and tech, that's where I thought I would kind of go through it to kind of talk about, and I'm sure what's important is, you know, warranty and the durability and that kind of thing. Probably the number one thing besides the aesthetic is DaVinci is extremely durable. The product is hail wind rated for areas of the country that have hail. It doesn't break apart, it won't get holes blown in it. It has to be Class A fire resistant. See the little fire asterisk there, so any products pretty much in most cities in Southern California have to be Class A, and we definitely meet that. We will be able to sell it. The wind resistance, normal wind ratings on roofing products are 90 miles an hour. Some of ours meet over that, exceed over 120 miles an hour, which we don't even have that in Southern California. The freeze thaw, there's areas, for Southern California, it doesn't affect San Marino, but like the Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear, you can't sell regular roofing tiles up there that can't hold the snow load. They actually absorb water and they blow apart. So I do really well in the mountain areas too, because it just handles the weight of the load of the snow. Virtually maintenance free. You don't have to paint the products or do any kind of upkeep. There's no water absorption, so you won't ever see any mold or mildew growing on our products like you do some older tiles that do absorb water. Color fade resistance, that's a huge one. We offer a 10-year color fade warranty, and there's a way to measure color fade from the onset when the product's manufactured to up to 10 years is what we actually offer to. There's going to be, you know, homeowners have an expectation. There's going to be some color fade, right? But we put additives in there and UV stabilizers to keep the colorants as strong as possible. And that's very lightweight, very, very lightweight. There's never any structural re-engineering needed either for re-roof or new construction, because the products are typically anywhere from 350 to 400 pounds, depending if you stagger them or not. They're going to use a little extra weight with the staggered product, but they're very, very lightweight too. So there's less costs for homeowners too if it's new construction, especially if they think they want to put real slate down versus a product that are like simulated with ours. So I think that's kind of what I wanted to kind of cover real quick, and then hopefully answer some questions that you probably are stirring in your head.
Yeah, the one thing that stirs in my head is that if someone has a slate roof and they have some damage or want to replace it, rather than replace with the actual slate product, usually that's associated with some high-end homes. And I'm kind of concerned about a faux slate product being put up there. On the other hand, on your shake product, especially your, let's go back to the beginning, your multi-width shake, I like the idea, as well as with the single width, that you could stagger them. We see every once in a while some shake roofs that cannot be staggered. And, they don't give quite the natural look that the original shake when staggered gives. So I'm concerned about slate, and I think the multi-width and single width shake product probably is worth setting up to the Planning Commission. Just my thought. Any other thoughts?
Thank you. I'll add to it. Our city, and Kevin knows this because you've been here as long as I have, you know, it really doesn't have a lot of options for homeowners on our approved list. So if anybody wants something different, they really have to come before this committee. And I've been talking for over 3 years about thinking that we needed to really augment the list. One of the concerns I have had always is that we don't have a proper simulated slate product on our approved list. I know that because I built a French house, I have slate, and I wish I didn't. And, you know, it was interesting, when I drove to the property on Cambridge.
You wish you didn't have real slate?
Yeah, I have one of the larger homes in the city. It's a very expensive roof, and
Yep.
it's always breaking and falling apart. It's a disaster. I'm picking up, and I'm hoping that my kids aren't in the backyard when they're falling. I have
It's
things
a
fall every
liability,
single
yeah,
week.
absolutely.
Huge liability.
Yeah.
They shatter, they shard, they cut people.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, I have always thought that the products we have on the approved list for a faux slate are not acceptable. I did not know that the product that we drove by on Cambridge, which was a house that was built before mine, was not real slate, and it's your product. So when I drove by that, I said, oh my God, I was at this house about, why is their slate not falling apart? Why is their slate always better than mine? So I am a huge supporter of taking something to the planning committee, planning commission for the slate product. I equally feel that the products we have, if we don't want to live in an environment that is a proponent of wood shake, which the city still is, our products on our list for simulated roofing materials for faux shake, I also think they're not great. So I appreciate that you've got a couple of products, you selected a few of them. I think both of them are necessary for our city to consider, whether it be today or in the future. And I think you were respectful in understanding our higher end population, respectful in understanding that we don't like a lot of crazy oranges and browns.
Right,
And you really were careful in understanding that we want to tone that in. I think you did a pretty good job. So I'm only one, but I'm in favor of taking this up.
Anyone else?
I also thank you for coming before us. It is a challenge that we always run into with having sufficient options on our pre-approval list for roofing materials. I like the multi-width products that you've proposed. I think out of the simulated or man-made products I've seen, that has a closest look and feel to what I think we typically look for in any type of products that we see before us. Related to the shake roofs, I'm always particular with which roofs do get shake. But after hearing fellow committee member Brody's comments, I would say that if the home already has it and this is a better option, I think it'd be a good option to have, all things considered. So I would be in support of recommending the product that you brought before us, and specific to the colors you've highlighted. I think, again, you've been mindful of which colors you think would work for the neighborhood, and you must have surveyed what we have, so you took that into consideration. I think that was important. So I would also note that it would be restricted to the colors that have been highlighted on the books that we've been provided.
Okay, any other comments? So my thought, and I appreciate committee member Judy sharing her personal experience with the real slate. My thought is, yeah, let's offer that multi-width slate. I mean, she has more experience with it than I think anyone on this committee. And maybe multi-width shake that is starred on this list and limit it as to that. And that's the upper end of the product line.
Right.
I'd be amenable to supporting that. Any thoughts?
So we are specifically excluding the single width slate, or we are including that as well?
Excluding it.
Okay.
Going with the upper end product, multi-width slate and shape that is starred on the list.
I'll support that.
So I'm going to chime in because the only roofing material I feel I really know well are slates and simulated slates, because that's the style house I chose. And I have to tell you, you're correct that when people choose the type of slate or faux slate that they want, they really choose on whether they're looking more for a provincial country look, or they're looking more for, you know, the palatial, yeah, and so offering a slate product only in a multi-staggered is more the country feel, the southern France. It's not going to be your.
You know slate,
the
yes.
Beaux-Arts
And I know where you're going with it.
You've got to
yeah.
offer both, because both styles are based on what type of French house you have. This would not be appropriate for some Beaux-Arts style where it's much more formal.
Slate's funny because you see it both ways, but if you see it straight, you don't need multiple sizes, and you can save a little bit of money too, but you're getting the same thing. It's just more of a uniform.
So I
I
have a
think it's
question.
just a user
I have a question for
desire.
staff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in replacing a slate roof, is it left up to the owner? Let's say this is on the roof, let's say it gets approved by the planning commission, it's on the pre-approved list. And there is a slate roof on the homeowner's home. If it's a single width, existing roof, do they have to replace it with that, or they can just choose the material slate, but they can do either the single width and non-staggered? Is it a like for like, or they just have to match the material? That's my question.
Being that we only have the natural slate on the list now, there isn't any requirement on the width and the staggering.
Okay.
So the committee is welcome to impose or add condition on this particular material, being that they do offer it in two different options.
You're okay with both multi and single?
Yeah, because I think that when you're looking for more the country charming house, you often go with the multi-width and staggered. When you're
The
looking for
Tudor
more of
look,
an estate
yeah.
style, you go with this. You don't go with this necessarily. And the reason I know that is I have this and I should have done this.
Right, but can you do the single width? I guess the question is there a single width product that's a natural product? Have you seen it installed like this on homes in
Yes.
San Diego with a natural product?
Yes,
I've seen a
there's
couple.
one on Virginia, that's one
I
of
was
the
gonna
largest
say.
homes in the city that,
Yeah.
But that's,
There's a
yeah,
couple really
it's French
big
house.
ones.
And there's another, one of the best examples would be, actually it's on Grand Avenue in Pasadena, but it's like one of the most well-known homes in Southern California.
You definitely see it both ways, but if somebody asked me which way I like it better, it depends on the house, right?
So for slate, multi-width or single width,
And for shape and multi.
and for shape, just the multi. Yeah,
But I do have a
that's,
question for
that's,
staff.
that's flat, only the colors that are asterisk on this. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable way to go.
And just for clarification, I heard multiple community leaders talking about replacement of shape or replacement of slate. So if somebody's building a home from scratch, and this is on an approved list, how does that work?
Using material that is not on the approved list?
No,
Is
if
that the
this gets
question?
added to the approved list, the only commentary I've heard from my colleagues tonight was replacing. What I want to know is if I'm building a new home and it's on an approved list, it's going to go before the
Planning
commission. That's right.
No matter what, but it's
Yes.
going to be on an approved list, it can be built for new homes too.
Yes.
that's right.
Right.
New
Yeah.
or-
We just weren't talking about that. I was
No,
concerned with it.
right, because it's about the review, right? I mean, the question was about the review, so
No, I'm good with what you
if it's
have.
new, it's gonna be reviewed regardless of what it is.
100%,
But
I get it.
that's why, what we're concerned with is when it's replaced.
I understand
So
that.
when
I-
it, I'm sorry, continue.
Yes, I understand what our role is. I just want to make sure that we're offering our homeowners in this city, regardless of who sits on this committee or a planning commission committee, more options in the future. And the product, the discussion we're having today would enable that for any type of homeowner, replacement or new.
Okay, so the consensus I see is the approval for referral to the planning commission of multi-width shake and single-width shake in the coloration as asterisk in the brochure, as well as the multi-width shake.
Slate.
Did I say shake before?
So, yeah, so you already said,
I'm sorry, then I misspoke. Let me try it one more time. Multi-width shake, single-width shake, only in the asterisk colors shown in the brochure, plus the multi-width shake. Again, I said shake.
Hey, can I just ask one more question? Is this considered to be black or is that your darkest gray?
That's smoky. That's what you saw on that roof, I believe. So black is going to be even a little darker.
This is
People do order black too. That's why I kind of, those are just my guesses as to what you might want to select for colors.
Let me make the motion that we move to refer to the planning commission the multi-width slate and single-width slate in the colorations that are asterisk in the brochure only, and the multi-width shake in the asterisk colors, again, shown in the brochure.
I'll second the motion.
Okay? Let's do a roll call on it.
Committee Member Bagnich?
Yes.
Committee Member Johnson Brody?
Yes.
Committee Member Huang?
Yes.
Vice Chair Chang?
Yes.
Chair Brody?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. No, do you have a copy of it? No problem, all right, great. Thank you. No. Here. You can,
Want to recite all the best you can out of the top.
yeah, well, they may want to present this to the planning commission. Here you go.
So what is the process? How does that work?
It goes to the planning commission, and then they have to bless it,
Mhm.
and then it gets on the approval list.
Under another hearing and go correct again?
Correct, but now we've narrowed the focus.
Okay.
So it's only those pages that were referred to as being accepted by the DRC as moving to the planning.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you guys.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right,
Thanks, Christine.
I'd like to make a motion.
No, you don't need the samples
No,
or anything.
no.
We can take them with us.
I'd like to make a motion that since we have experienced in the last 8 months, I think we're averaging less than an hour per meeting, that we ask the council to consider making DRC meetings once a month rather than twice a month. And certainly if the volume changes, we can always go back to twice a month. But as it presently stands, I think it's more productive to have a once a month meeting. Any dissenting voices on that?
I would,
Go ahead.
I would just add that, even if we decide that it's to be 3 weeks or some other, longer term.
I would just ask staff, the staff best knows what the volume is and where it's at. So is there any increase in volume, or does it look like it's just consistently been decreasing? And we actually canceled a meeting last month, I'm presuming due to not having anything on the agenda. So staff feel that this would be a reasonable request, or is there any hint that there's an influx of work that's in the planning stages that will come in, and we will be inundated in the next month or two?
For the next 3 months, the application pending design review hearing is pretty stable. We're looking at on average about 3 to 4 projects per meeting. So if the committee, about three projects per meetings.
So if we went to one a month,
It will be
then
about
8?
5 to 6. It will be about
Not
5 to 6.
6.
We can certainly keep it no more than 6.
Yeah.
There isn't a big rush.
Yeah, but that would kind of throw things off.
But still reduce our frequency.
So my thought is just to ask the city council to change our meeting schedule to once a month based upon the amount of volume we have. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, everyone's in favor of it. So if we can get that to the city council, and maybe they could make that change.
Does the committee collectively has a preference for which meeting date, either the first or the third week?
I
No
don't
preference.
have any preference.
I think by operation of the city, the planning commission meets on the 3rd, or I'm sorry,
Fourth.
the 4th.
Fourth.
So if we do the first week, then there's space between,
That's right, for
The first-
appeal purposes. Yeah, that's smart.
Or for when we send,
right? That would give us,
but it would also
Quite, because
make
in
your
order-
time more difficult, maybe.
In
Your
order for
time.
a project to appeal to
Well,
the
yeah,
planning
it would
commission,
be
we have to
no
do the
matter
minute first, so the project will still have, the minute has to come back to this committee for confirmation before we can
so
send
is
it to
there a
appeal.
better, is it just
What's your
purely preference? I mean, is there a
It's just
recommend?
purely preference. I don't believe it will delay any project being appealed to the planning commission, if that's where they're at.
Okay, so the first Wednesday of the month is what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
that sounds good.
Okay.
Yours is the first story I've heard about shakes coming down.
Chair?
Yeah, the
That
shakes.
sounds so scary. It's late.
Why?
I don't know.
But we need to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I move to adjourn the meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. So what